Okay.
Folks who need to lift up prayer, you want to get down?
Janet Piper, Gary Piper's wife, is in the emergency room for some reason this morning. I don't know why.
Yes.
Christina Krawchuk has lost her grandfather, and please keep her and the family in prayers. The last of that generation for her.
Some of you have heard about the tragedy of Trey Webster, an HHS student. Continue prayers for their family. Of course, we'll continue to pray for Mike Carter. And Brian Schnabel is in quarantine. Doing well, and I'm going to start in reverse, but just was exposed, and so he's self-quarantined. Yeah, Jamie.
Gianna Petrus is the daughter of one of our employees. I met her last week. She's a brain tumor, and they removed about 80% of it last week, which is a very high percentage for the doctors to want to remove brain tumor. But she still has a long way to go. So Gianna Petrus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any others? If you've seen on Facebook, I just got back from Montana. I'm glad to be in this temperature again. And don't worry, I put in with Duffy that I could do a program to show you all my pictures of someone one morning. I'm sure you're thrilled to go through that with me. There was an interesting moment, though. You go through multiple airports, and you travel in, and I yell at my wife, because that's what good husbands do. Where's your ID? And my son turns to me and goes, why are you always asking for your ID? I said, because your mother forgets her ID. He goes, no. Why do you need your ID? And I said, well, it's to tell people, this is who I am. And he looked at me and goes, well, why can't they just believe who you are? And then I had to respond, well, sometimes people aren't who they say they are. And it was just this moment of him, like, I had to break this news to him, that sometimes people aren't who they say they are. Man, that's my prayer for us. If you say you're a Rotarian, be a Rotarian. If you say you're a follower of Jesus, be a follower of Jesus. If you say this, be this fully. Because otherwise you're going to show IDs and say, are you sure that's who you are? Because you're not acting that way. You're not living that way. That's my hope today, that when I say I'm Keith Gunner, that I am, that's who the Keith I know you are supposed to be. Let's pray. Lord, your graciousness, your love, and your mercy and your forgiveness is overwhelming. For often I, and maybe some others in this room, aren't fully who we say we are at times. So God, in your mercy, we are grateful. For you give us this new day, a new opportunity, and a new hope to be who you have created us to be. People of love, people of grace, people of mercy, people who care for our neighbors, people who serve. Give us that strength this day. Give us that hope. In your name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh,
Beautiful voices, skies, Lord, and the ways of grain, o'er purple mountains, majesty, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and proud the little brotherhood from sea to shining sea. All right, Johnny.
Good morning, fellow Rotarians! What a great day it is to be a Rotarian here in the finest city in the Mid-South. That city by the lake on the northeast side of Music City, USA, the city of Hendersonville, Tennessee. Well, I do hope you are all well rested and ready for what, Rena?
An opportunity to serve in our community.
An opportunity to serve our community and maybe make a positive difference on all those people you're going to meet this week. To our honored guests, distinguished visitors, welcome. You are now in the presence of the finest Rotary Club in the world. Where it is? All right.
Glockenseer, I see you back there in the, over there rather. Who is, introduce your guest, please, sir.
My brother-in-law, Larry Dean from North Carolina.
Brenda, you have a guest. Where's Brenda?
I'm back here. I do. I have a guest who's visiting for the second time. Her name is Marlene Ross. She's a second-year law student at Belmont, starting a new life for her and her family. So, and she has put in her application.
All right, thank you. Oliver Mary, you have a guest.
Yes, Kathy Ragland, please stand up. Kathy Ragland, the Sumner County YMCA Director.
We're glad to have you back, Captain. Also former Rotarian. We don't have very many announcements this morning. The most important one is, for those of you who are on the board, Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, meet at New Creation Church. That's on Avondale Road. We're going to spend all day plotting the future of the Rotary Club. Let's see here. Pancakes are going to be next week. We're going to have a big announcement about pancakes. Am I forgetting anything? Is this it? Wow. Well, no, that comes next. Anything I'm forgetting? Anybody? No. In that case, it's kind of early, but Don Ames, are you prepared?
No. That's normal.
You want Michelle?
Come on, Michelle. That lady works for money. Michelle. All right. Diane Black, let's start with you today.
Yes,
Where are you?
I am right here.
Oh, hi, Diane.
Hi, how are you this morning?
I'm swell.
My buddy is Ross Edwards.
Yeah.
Ross had me yesterday. I won't be at Rotary tomorrow. Abby and I are on vacation in Nashville.
What's his name?
His name is Ross, or Ross.
Russ.
Ross Edwards.
Okay, that's worth a quarter.
Because I should have had that right with two buddies, you know.
Well, get to know your buddy. He's a nice guy.
It is. We just met last week.
Michael. You didn't sign in. Now wait, if you're wrong, it's gonna cost you $2. Now, do you want me to prove it or not? Will you accept my? I may have missed. You may have missed, that's correct. Look like a dollar. Yeah, that's you. You used invisible ink? No, I can't. That's where Scott did it. People are getting so hard to deal with these days. People are testy over lots of anxiety over COVID. Tracy Johansson, I hope you're a more pleasant person. Who's your buddy?
Can't comment.
Who?
Can't comment.
And where is he?
I don't know. Oh.
Oh.
I just texted him.
We got this going pretty quick, didn't we? Thank you. Let's see, we need, okay. Hey, Jones, you.
How are you doing, Doug?
Well, I'm fine. I have a little COVID cough, but. Who's your buddy?
My buddy is Ron Martin.
Yeah.
Me and Fran were just sitting here discussing Ron.
Were you really?
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Yes, he is.
He's not here.
No, he's not.
So thanks for asking.
It wasn't. He's sitting next to Fran and doesn't even know.
He's home and she doesn't know.
Taking it easy, you're right. Okay. While I'm over here by this table, I think it's important to, we didn't have any Rotary for
this is the third summer we've done it. Obviously, without school in March and April, it's a little bit harder to identify those students. And then it became a little bit harder to schedule for the community church. Community church still supported it, but we had to move it over to New Creation Church. I've already mentioned a couple folks here that are part of Rotary that helped us, and Keith Gunner and Doug and Linda Barnado. And so it worked out very well, but part of the reason it worked out very well is because we have a lot of people in this room that contributed financially and also contributed some meals to these kids. These kids, a lot of them, their summer would not involve reading at all. It would probably involve video games and TV, and we would have seen their reading scores go down over the summer significantly. Instead, and we hope this is the case for this summer, in the past 2 years, all of our kids have maintained their reading level, and about half of them actually excel and go up a reading level. We just finished our camp at New Creation, and we appreciate several people in the room, some of which I might be standing next to right now, as well as some other folks that helped out. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful camp. We look forward to it next year, and we appreciate everybody, especially New Creation, that helped us with that.
All right, good. Let's see if there's anybody else that's happy. This is really down there. Michelle, take over. Your turn. Anybody have a happy bug for Michelle? I have a happy bug. We just started at the Recovery Court a new program for re-entry of prisoners. They're going to be coming out, and they're helping them find the jobs and make the adjustment and so forth. And we started that on the 15th of this month, and so I'm really happy that we were able to come up with funds to do that, and I think it'll help a lot of people avoid the revolving door, going back into jail, like so many do. Anybody else got a happy bug? All right, Michelle. Oh, wait, Rod.
I'm happy because I'm not sure if my buddy has made it yet, but he said he was going to be here. Ryan Hummer. Is he here yet? He had to go by the bed. He was running late, but he did text me.
Just to be sure, to make Michelle happy, is there anybody here who doesn't know where their buddy is that I didn't call on? All right. Thank you so much for helping me out. I'm happy. My buddy, William Stiles, finally got here, so I'm going to take it
Hey, he went to the Hendersonville, North Carolina Rotary Club. By mistake.
He was thinking, he texted me, he said he was going to be late.
I'm here, Bob. I made it.
Thanks, Liam. Say what? Brent?
I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm happy that you didn't call on me this morning to ask who my buddy was, because for the third week in a row, had I been called, I would have said, I know where Cheryl is. She is watching online. She's very, very excited that somebody is doing this morning. And so I connected with her and I know where she is. There we go. So I'm happy that I now know my buddy.
I'm happy that you're happy.
Thanks, Don.
I'm so excited.
Take that elsewhere.
Yes. Thank you for helping me. This is, I hate to rob it, but I need to keep Michelle happy.
Yes, I wanted to share, my buddy is Brenda Payne, and she sent me a text this morning. Hey buddy, I won't be at Rotary today because I'm going on a long-awaited birthday trip with my twin sister, Linda, my best friend. And then I respond, and this is the part I really wanted to share with you. Because it's all about, have a great trip, Brenda, with your sister. I will cover for you if Don the curmudgeon asks.
Hey, Jonathan, that was a little low. That was low.
Another dollar, Don.
Don, I got you back.
I have a problem with self-worth here, but let me tell you. The reason I don't call on people who know where their buddies are is because we can't get $1 for it, and I think it's just a waste of time. But in this case, it
It was
helps.
worth it. Thank you, Don.
That's it, that's something.
So, hey, Don,
Anybody else?
Mr. Automatic Jerry Faulkner didn't show up today, and I don't have a clue where he is.
Well, see, and Michelle would not do this, but I give executive privilege. Oh, I don't call him the president.
But I'll take the dollar.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to keep you happy, Don.
I'm done.
Well, we're glad about that. This group is incredible. After the meeting, we got a couple of additional donations, so we actually donated $280 to the Station Camp volleyball team. That's pretty incredible. Woo! That really is. Buddy check is important because who do we give our money to, Don?
Well, this tremendous amount of money that we're collecting, due to Michelle, is going to the Community Child Care Center and to the Samaritan Association, both here in Worthy and Hendersonville, Tennessee.
Thank you, Don. So, yes, the money goes to a worthy cause. You know, I've known our speaker, I think, really since the YMCA opened up, but I'm going to ask Oliver Berry to come up and introduce her. Oliver.
Good morning, everyone. Our speaker, Marlene Hilligoss, is from Anderson, Indiana originally. Became a lifeguard at age 15 at the local YMCA. So she's been with Y a long time. She went to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. What's their nickname? The Cardinals. Old with an S, not like Stanford. Cardinals. And moved around a lot with jobs, Florida, California, back to Indiana, then moved to Cage's Bend area here in Sumner County about 1997. She had her first job here at the Sumner Healthplex in Gallatin, and you said that's the original YMCA? I did not know that. Yeah, I knew there was one there that got closed down, but I didn't know where it was. TOA office. So if you have a hip, go see her. She has two children, Bree and Alex. Both of them swam competitively at Cage's Bend. She started with Sumner County YMCA in January of 2004 and has been the, what do you call yourself, the aquatics director? At Sumner County Y since then, and she supervises as many as 70 local teenagers as a lifeguard over the course of the summer. So, let's give her a big welcome. She deserves it.
Okay, I'm not really technical, so I'm going to try to play this video and we'll see how it goes.
That's me driving there at the deep end.
So it may spit out and it may not come back. This is what it's doing. Well, we'll let it go. Let me tell you what. I'm going to let you watch this a little bit, just for a minute. And it's just, I don't know what's going to happen, but we'll just shut it down.
It was a great video.
It was a great video. So the thing about it was, if you caught on, there was a child drowning in that video. Did you hear it? Did you hear the child at all? No. Could you tell that the child was drowning? Sunday, how many of you are on Hendersonville? So I don't know if you saw the post where Sunday there was a young man at Moby Dickey's enjoying his dinner on the outside patio. He happened to look into the water and saw what he thought was a blonde head. The next thing he knows, he's standing up and all he sees is a little hand come up out of the water. He was in that water very quickly. He said he ran faster than he'd ever run before, and he got that child out. The child was probably about 3 years old, he thought. Apparently he apologized to the dad on Hendersonville because he did not want to give the child back to those people. He did not feel the parents were staying actively engaged or watching their child, and he ended up in the water and the parents did not even know it. Drowning is a silent thing. People don't hear it. You see it on the TV, you see it in the movies, and you think that it's loud and splashy and kids are yelling for help or even adults are screaming. It doesn't work that way. Sunday also, a 28-year-old lost their life on Percy Priest. Just a couple weeks ago, Naya Rivera, who was a Glee star, lost her life by drowning. And before that, around the 4th of July holiday, a little boy, 8 years old, drowned at a Holiday Inn pool. It took them 9 hours to find him because they could not see the bottom of the pool. So I'm going to leave off statistics at this point and talk a little bit about the YMCA and our Learn to Swim program. That's why I'm here, to talk about how we can help Sumner County kids learn how to swim. Back in 2010 to 2011, our board tasked us with finding new ways that we could get out and reach out into the Sumner County community. We'd been open 10 years at that point. We had already been providing financial assistance, not just for memberships, but for before and after school care and for our day camp program. So we were already very immersed in the community and helping provide some outreach to people that needed financial assistance. We had some options at that time that we talked about. We talked about doing a small group ministry. We are a Christian facility, so a ministry, an outreach program was a natural for us also. We talked about an after breast cancer program that was already running at a couple of our centers here in Middle Tennessee with a lot of success and helping a lot of women, and men, I should say also. The other option was a Learn to Swim program. If you all think back to 2010, what happened in 2010? May of 2010, we had the floods. We had a lot of water. We are the city by the lake. We are a city surrounded by water. So it kind of became a very natural thing for us to choose the Learn to Swim program as our next outreach program. I will tell you one more statistic that comes from the CDC. Drowning is the second leading cause of injury death for children ages 1 to 14. I can give you all kinds of statistics, but statistics aren't what you want to really hear today. What's important is how can we help teach these kids how to be safe in and around the water. In 2011, we started raising money to provide this outreach to our Sumner County first graders. One of the first things we did was work with Dr. Phillips. Of course, we had to get his permission to approach the first graders and get into the schools, talk to the teachers, the principals. And of course, he approved it unanimously also. School he came from actually had some high schoolers drowned, so he was very on board with us starting this program. One of the things he did say though was, I want you to do this, but I cannot take them out of the classroom. Those students need their classroom time, and yes, this is an important program, but we cannot bus them from the schools. That we figured an estimate of about 1 hour and 15 minutes, they would have been out of the classroom. So he said, we want to do it, we want to support you, we will help you however we can, but you cannot take them from the school. A typical or traditional Learn to Swim program, the kids do come from the classrooms. Our Metro Nashville program, they bus the kids to a couple of the pools in the Davidson County metro area. So by the time they get them on the bus them over, change them, they actually only have about 20 minutes in the water. Then they, of course, get them out, get them dressed, take them back to school. So they're missing a good hour 15 during that time. We started raising the money. We started developing our plan. The plan turned out to be to have the parents bring the first graders to the Y in an after-hours program where The instructors would meet with the kids, the parents would stay and wait for their children, but instead of just doing 20 minutes in the water, we were able to do more like 40 minutes. So it was really good because we were able to spend more time with these kids, and more time to practice is very beneficial. Our focus at that time was to try to reach out to some of the schools that had a bigger need. So we started with, I think our first 4 schools that we went with were Jean Brown, Walton Ferry, George Whitten, and Guild. I think those were the first 4 that we started with. We had a good response. The parents were thrilled to be coming to free swim lessons. You know, it was good. We started out with 6 classes. By the 5th class, the attendance started dwindling. By the 6th class, it dwindled even more. So we tried to figure out a way. You know, it's just kind of, we were constantly thinking about ways we could reinvent the wheel. I do want to tell you that since 2012 we've been doing this. I'm going to read a list of the schools that we have invited to the program. Madison Creek, Jean Brown, Walton Ferry, Lakeside Park, Indian Lake, Nanny Berry, Station Camp, George Whitten, Howard, Guild, Dina Stewart, Benny Bills, J.W. Wiseman, Millersville, and Beach. So we've invited a lot of first graders to come to this program. When you think about the average number of students in each first grade classroom in our elementary schools, there's anywhere from 80 to 120, depending on the community that they live in. Typically, we will get anywhere from 30 to 40 that will come. Not a bad turnout, considering the parents are bringing them. How can we get more here? You know, what can we do to bring more students into our schools, into our pools, sorry. The other big group that we work with is the Children Are People group. Are you familiar with CAP out of Gallatin? They come to the pool, usually in July every summer, and we have typically 25 to 30 of their students that are not just first graders. Some of them range up to 12 years of age that have not had the experience of any kind of formal swim lesson training. So I'm going to talk for just a minute about what that program involves. It's called SAW, Safety Around Water. And what we do for those kids is we work with them to try to provide a skill that will help them should they ever accidentally fall into the water. One of the first things we teach is for them to always ask permission before they go to the water. Those of you that have kids or grandkids, this is something I want you to all do. Teach them to ask permission, not just before they go swimming, even before they get in the bathtub. Because you need to know that your child or grandchild is in the water. It doesn't take much water for a child to drown. So asking permission is the first thing. You know, I often tease about going to the labor and delivery, to the wards in all the hospitals, and talking to new parents about that. As your child gets older, teach them to ask permission before they ever get in the bathtub or in any water, even the little kiddie pools. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on back floats. Teaching a child to go from a front float position, or we'll call it a drowning position today just for the sake of impact. If they're face down in the water, we want them to know how to roll over onto their back, because then they can breathe. They can breathe and stay face up, floating until somebody can get to them. Obviously, the child that was in the lake Sunday did not know how to do that. That is a life-saving skill that we should all know how to do. So we call that swim, float, swim. We're going to teach them to be in the water, roll to their back, then roll to the front to keep swimming. It's a great skill for adults even. If you're swimming in the water and you get tired, you're going to roll to your back to float, to rest for a minute, to recover, to get your breath, to give yourself a chance to rebuild your strength before you swim some more. Swim, float, swim. The other one is jump, push, turn, grab. A little bit more advanced skill, but the skills we work on in safety around water are basically that. Teach them how to grab the side, climb out on their own. Life-saving skills. Skills that we all need to know, skills that we want our first graders absolutely to know. So where are we right now? One of the big things we talk about here in Sumner County, in Hendersonville and Gallatin, our two bigger cities, we're worried about getting ice. We need ice. We need ice so that the kids can play hockey. Well, yes, we do. We need soccer fields. We need baseball fields. People, I'm going to tell you, we need water. We need more pools in Sumner County. I don't know if you've heard, but the Civic Center has closed their pool in Gallatin probably through the remainder of 2020. They have had some major structural, we'll call them, difficulties. Since COVID, they've been able to identify some major situations going on there at that pool in Gallatin. They are closed. The phone calls I'm getting asking for water time, well, they're significant. Excel does not have a place to swim. The high school teams do not have a place to swim. The middle school teams do not have a place to swim. Right now, due to COVID, we are not allowing outside groups to come into the Y for safety purposes, not only for our members' safety, for our staff safety, but for their safety also. So there's no water. So I know a lot of you are saying, well, Sea Star's right over here. It is a private pool, and I love and respect Ron Shalasta. He is keeping them very safe over there, and he does not allow outside groups in. Typically, during the school year, there's one high school team that he will let swim, and it is Pope John Paul II's team. So we don't know at this point if he's going to be able to do that this year, but we've got many high schools with no water. So that's my soapbox. We need more pools that members of this community can use, that our kids can use. We have a swimmer here in our community that potentially could go to the Olympics. Does everybody know who I'm talking about?
Chase?
Well, he's another one, but Riley Gaines is who I'm thinking of primarily. When we first opened, she was begging for water time, begging. And at that time, we were only allowing swimmers to use the pool for an hour at a time so that everybody could get in and use the water. She has great potential. But if you know swimmers, they usually swim 2 to 2.5 hours in the morning and again in the evening. Being without water does not help somebody in that sport. They have to have water time. So in your thought processes, be thinking about where could we get another pool in this community? Is there a possibility for a rec center that could be built? Talk to Kathy. We would love nothing more than for a pool to be built in this community that we can help run. I think we're pretty good at running water and at managing it. I've got 70 teenagers that I know would be glad to help guard it. So, how are other ways that you can help us? Well, as you know, the YMCA is a nonprofit. I mentioned earlier some of the ways that we already reach out to our community and help with memberships, with before and after school care. This year we are not doing our day camp program because of COVID. But every year I can tell you that we give away probably more than double the money that we raise for our outreach programs. It costs a lot to run the programs that we do, but we want to be very viable in the community, and we want to stay very connected to our community. So, yes, we need money to run these programs. And I'm going to ask you, don't let these kids down. Help them learn how to swim. I'll open the floor now if you've got any questions about the program or about anything that we do. Yes, go ahead.
I don't have a question, I just want to tell a story. My sister once, when she was really young, she almost drowned, and she has 2 kids. When she moved to the United States, to Hendersonville 3 years ago, she has a 10-year-old son. She didn't let him go close to water whatsoever. You know, you guys changed her life and life of her kid. Harrison, his name, teenager coach, there was a private lesson we hired to teach crews how to swim. They become best friends. He actually go to see him all the time. He made his personal car. He bought him gift from his savings that he had. You guys changed the life of my family because every time when we go somewhere with my sister, she don't rest. She just like watch her kids. Her daughter Sarah, she's 18, and her son now 13. She didn't let them swim whatsoever. water, and whole family enjoy the time. This program and your teenagers, the most professional and amazing trained people. They give a person who almost drowned confidence that she will be okay, her kids will be okay, and he just high school kid. What you do with your coaches and swim trainers, high school children, it's amazing. And if we can help them to improve, this will be the best, it will be worth it. I'm a witness and I'm like, my testimony, I'm telling you, it's 10 people in my family, we have, what a time now, all of us. But thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll tell you, the teenagers, you know, I spend time, I train them, I work with them, but I can't give them that ability they have to connect with these kids. And thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, sir.
Do you also provide junior lifeguard and lifeguard training?
At this time, we do not. We are now American Red Cross lifeguards, and they do have a program for that. If this were not the year of COVID, would we be doing some of that? I think so, because that is a passion of mine, to work with all those age groups. And the junior lifeguard program is something I hope to be able to do in the future.
Hey, Marlene, Keith and Don Ames were afraid to ask. They were wondering if they could get in that rollover on your back program.
Be happy to work with them on that. I've seen Keith in his triathlons. Yes, sir.
The reason I asked that is I grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, which is on the ocean.
Yes, sir.
And we had that at the YMCA and was able to participate in it. It was a great training tool.
Yes, I remember that when I was young. I was actually very involved with the Red Cross even starting at 14 years old. And I started actually teaching free swim lessons at that time. But it's a great program. And we did some of that kind of stuff with our camp kids, the older kids, and they loved it. They loved holding that big red tube and feeling powerful. So, but thank you all. Yes, ma'am. Hi, Diane.
I have a happy book for Dawn because I want to thank you for what you do for children or people. For those of you who don't know, Children or People will celebrate their 20th anniversary next year. They are in Gallatin. They address children with at-risk needs, and they are an after-school program. And every year, the Y opens it up to allow, it's about 60 children. Many of them have never been in any more water than a bathtub. And I would love for you to come and see them, their happiness that they have, having the ability to be in a pool and learn how to swim, and it's so important. Many of them are so scared when they get to that pool, they will not go near it because they've never had the experience of anything more than a bathtub. So we really appreciate, as a Catholic person, we really appreciate what you do for our kids in the Catholic.
Thank you, Diane. Those kids, some of them are as big as the instructors, and they will grab hold of them. It's like kind of scary. Dr. Don.
Two things. One is it only takes 2 inches to drown in water, y'all.
Thank you. Yes, it does.
So when she says that, and people say, oh, it doesn't take much water, 2 inches is all it takes to drown in water. So the other, that's just a statement. But question is, and what's the average cost for kids? And do you ever ask the elementary parents to help with the offset the costs?
Great questions. We average it out to say about $100 per child for the 6-week program that we run. It's a little bit more when they talk about it at Metro because they do provide the busing. What was the other part of your question?
About offsetting the cost by the parents of paying for it.
So the main way I connect with them is by email. So once the parents, we go to the school, they pass out a letter, the parents email me to register. So at that point, we get their information, and I'm constantly emailing them reminders and stuff. And in those emails, I always have the link and encourage them to help support it. So I will say I've had some really great support come out of it. The biggest thing is I've had so many stories come out of it because of kids that have been terrified. Cap is one prime example. Mr. Bailey, when he was there, he would come and talk at our luncheons because it's just the difference that it makes to those kids. And Diane's right, when you see it on their faces, it's just tremendous. Thank you all for having me today. I appreciate it. Sorry the video didn't work.
We're taking this down video. this book. Apparently it's a special value at $5. So please, go take my pen, go write a note. May the 4th be with you. Right. So, you don't know this, but I learned to swim at a YMCA when I was 5 years old. And I have been a swimmer all my life. Matter of fact, I was in the pool yesterday. And the other thing about swimming is once your knees go out, once your hips go out, guess what? You can get in the pool and you can swim. And I think, if I remember correctly, an hour workout in a pool is worth 1,500 calories, something like that, 1,100. I mean, it's huge.
Not quite.
It's worth more than money.
Yeah.
So, anyway, the other point I was going to make is that the YMCA is a huge sponsor of ours. Jeremy Tackett serves on our half marathon committee, and without the YMCA support, the half marathon would not occur. Without Jeremy Tackett, it would not occur. So we want to recognize the YMCA for all it does here in this community. Do we have a thought for today? Brenna, come up and give us our thought.
Just a side note, since we've got like 2 seconds, I actually grew up as a lifeguard. I started guarding when I was 14. I went through the junior lifeguard program, and I was blessed enough to have several pools in our city system growing up. We actually had 4, plus we had a water park. I grew up in Decatur, Alabama. And we had, I got to, as soon as I could get into the junior lifeguard program, I got into the program and I started guarding at 14. And the last time I guarded, I was a senior in college and I worked at the pool. And so I spent a lot of time in the water. I coached Special Olympics swim team and it was the joy of my life. I would love to challenge those who are in the position in the county to do so, to consider a pool program through the counties, through the cities. We had one of my greatest times growing up as a guard was the time I spent in our poorest community in our city at home, because those kids loved the guards. We were their babysitters. It was cheap labor. It was cheap babysitting for the parents because it was like $1 or $2 to get into the pool and they could stay all day. So I want to challenge those who are able to develop that type of thing in this community. It would be a gem for Sumner County, I think. So never give up on a dream just because of the time it will take to accomplish it. The time will pass anyway. That's by Earl Nightingale. But because of today and our guest speaker, I prefer Dory, just keep swimming.
Thank you. Thank you so much. How do you turn this off?